Let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're totally decoding the hidden rules of business English. We're exploring why certain words just naturally fit together, and in the process, we're actually going to solve the ultimate office email mystery. Do you make a decision or do you take a decision? I know, it sounds super simple, but as you'll see, there's a fascinating linguistic mechanism behind all of this. Seriously, we have all been there. You're typing this super important email to your boss or maybe a major client, and you feel that sudden anxiety just staring at a blinking cursor, wondering if picking the wrong verb is going to make you sound completely unprofessional to your colleagues. It's that split-second hesitation where you're like, wait, is it take or make? Well, this isn't just about grammar. It's really about sounding natural and authoritative in a professional setting. All right, Section 1, the power of collocations, or language as chunks. So, to solve this little dilemma, we first need to look at how language actually works. We really need to dismantle this myth that we learn and speak language just, word by word. Linguists actually call these natural word partnerships collocations. And according to the lexical approach to language teaching, our ability to communicate doesn't just magically come from memorizing individual words and strict grammar rules. Instead, language is made up of these meaningful chunks. We literally store a collocation in our memory as one single, unanalyzed unit. So mastering these ready-made units, that's the true basis of fluent communication. Think of it kind of like a giant puzzle. Both the adjectives fast and quick mean the exact same thing if you look them up in a dictionary. But to a native speaker, only the fast train actually sounds correct. The quick train just sounds, well, unnatural and clunky, right? These are the unwritten rules of word combinations that you really can't just guess by knowing the individual definitions. Moving on to Section 2, chunks and oral fluency, and how this speeds up speech. Okay, so why are these multi-word sequences absolutely critical for high-pressure meetings? Well, using established business collocations makes your language sound incredibly accurate and professional. Plus, it helps you avoid those overused, kind of vague words. But the really fascinating part comes from the research on oral fluency. Using these prepackaged chunks of language actively reduces the load on your brain. During the formulation stage of speech, which is basically when you're retrieving words from your mental lexicon, having a massive repertoire of collocations means you don't have to scramble to search for individual words. You retrieve the whole chunk at once. This speeds up your speech and makes you sound significantly more fluent. Which brings us to Section 3, the make versus take dilemma, looking at these two very common verbs. Let's bring this back to our high-stakes office mystery. In business English, high-value nouns are strictly partnered with specific verbs, like you make progress and make a profit, but you take action and take responsibility. You just can't mix them up. But here's the thing. The noun decision is entirely unique because it frequently pairs with both verbs. You'll hear professionals say make a decision and take a decision. So what's the actual difference here? And more importantly, which one should you be using? Section 4, process versus final action. The stack exchange debate. To decode this whole thing, let's look at a pretty fascinating debate from the English language and usage stack exchange community. As one top user points out, making a decision implies something that is engineered or formed through a process. Just think about what it means to actually make something. It involves raw materials, right? When you're making a decision, you're doing the research, you're analyzing the alternatives, having those long discussions, and really carefully weighing the pros and cons. It encompasses the entire decision-making journey that leads up to the final choice. Now, contrast that with this view. Taking a decision has this distinct sense of finality to it. It's an active acceptance of a choice that has been put right in front of you. It doesn't focus on the thinking process or all that research we just talked about. It focuses purely on the decisive moment itself. Imagine all your options laid out on a table before you, and you literally reach out and take one. It's the final action of implementation. Section 5, regional and formal nuances. We're looking at formality and geography here. But it goes even deeper than just process versus finality. There are strong regional and formality differences at play here that are absolutely crucial for your business communication. Make a decision is the standard everyday phrase. It's used globally in both the US and the UK, and it can be highly informal. Like, you make a decision about where to go for lunch. Nobody is going to hold you accountable if you pick the wrong sandwich, right? However, Take a decision carries a vastly different weight. First off, it's distinctly British, but more importantly, it carries a highly formal connotation that implies serious consequences. In a search of BBC News articles, the phrase take a decision is almost exclusively used when referring to governments, official bodies, or executive committees acting. It really implies that the person deciding holds formal responsibility and will be held accountable for the final outcome. So, you don't take a decision about lunch, a board of directors takes a decision to merge with another company. It's a huge difference. And hey, if you're communicating primarily with an American audience, you definitely need to know this rule. American English almost never uses the phrase, take a decision. It honestly sounds entirely foreign to them. Instead, as this quote summarizes perfectly, an American business professional makes a decision in order to take a position. The word position itself suggests a specific, stable place that you've moved to. You process all the options to make your choice, and then you firmly take your final position. So, the next time you're staring down that blinking cursor, just consider your audience and your intent. Are you outlining a process, or are you finalizing a formal mandate? I challenge you to listen closely to your colleagues, your clients, and your bosses this week. Really observe how they intuitively wield these powerful little chunks of language to convey authority, formality, and action. Do you notice a difference in who gets to just make suggestions and who actually gets to take the final decision? Think about it.